Unit 104. Quite, pretty, rather, and fairly. A. You can use quite, pretty, rather, fairly plus adjectives or adverbs. So you can say, it is quite cold. It is pretty cold. It is rather cold. It is fairly cold. Quite, pretty, rather, fairly, less than, very, but more than a little. B. Quite and pretty are similar in meaning. I am surprised you have not heard of her. She is quite famous, pretty, famous. Less than very famous, but more than a little famous. Anna lives quite near me, so we see each other pretty often. Pretty is an informal word and is used mainly in spoken English. Quite goes before an. We live in quite an old house. Not a quite old house. Compare. Sarah has quite a good job. Sarah has a pretty good job. You can also use quite, but not pretty, in the following ways. Quite an plus noun without an adjective. I did not expect to see them. It was quite a surprise. Quite a big surprise. Quite a lot of. There were quite a lot of people at the meeting. Quite plus verb, especially like and enjoy. I quite like tennis, but it's not my favorite sport. C. Rather is similar to quite and pretty. We often use rather for negative ideas, things we think are not good. The weather is not so good. It is rather cloudy. Paul is rather shy. He does not talk very much. Quite and pretty are also possible in these examples. When we use rather for positive ideas, good, nice, etc., it means unusually or surprisingly. These oranges are rather good. Where did you get them? D. Fairly is weaker than quite, rather, pretty. For example, if something is fairly good, it is not very good and it could be better. My room is fairly big, but I would prefer a bigger one. We see each other fairly often, but not as often as we used to. E. Quite also means completely. For example, are you sure? Yes, quite sure. Completely sure. Quite means completely with a number of adjectives, especially sure, right, true, clear, different, incredible, amazing, certain, wrong, safe, obvious, unnecessary, extraordinary, impossible. She was quite different from what I expected. Completely different. Everything they said was quite true. Completely true. We also use quite, completely with some verbs. For example, I quite agree with you. Completely agree. Not quite. Not completely. They have not quite finished eating yet. I do not quite understand what you mean. Are you ready yet? Not quite. Not completely. Unit 104. Exercises. 104.1. Complete the sentences using quite plus the following: famous, good, hungry, late, noisy, often, old, surprised. 1. I am surprised you haven't heard of her. She's quite famous. 2. I am quite hungry. Is there anything to eat? 3. How were the pictures you took? Quite good. Better than usual. 4. I go to the cinema quite often. Maybe once a month. 5. We live near a very busy road, so it's often quite noisy. 6. I didn't expect Laura to contact me. I was quite surprised when she phoned. 7. I went to bed quite late last night, so I'm a bit tired this morning. 8. I do not know exactly when these houses were built, but they are quite old. 104.2. Put the words in the right order to complete the sentences. 1. The weather was better than we had expected. It was quite a nice day. 2. Tom likes to sing. He has quite a good voice. 3. The bus stop wasn't very near the hotel. We had to walk quite a long way. 4. It is not so warm today. There is a pretty cold wind. 5. The journey took longer than I expected. There was quite a lot of traffic. 6. I am tired. I have had a pretty busy day. 104.3. Use your own ideas to complete these sentences. Use rather plus adjective. 1. The weather isn't so good. It is rather cloudy. 2. I enjoyed the film, but it was rather long. 3. The hotel we stayed at wasn't very good. I was rather disappointed. 4. I think it is rather strange that Chris went away without telling anybody. 5. Lucy doesn't like having to wait. Sometimes she is rather impatient. 104.4. What does quite mean in these sentences? Tick the right meaning. More than a little, less completely. Than very, section B, section E. 1. It is quite cold. You'd better wear your coat. 2. Are you sure? Yes, quite sure. 3. Anna's English is quite good. More than a little. 4. I couldn't believe it. It was quite incredible. Completely. 5. My bedroom is quite big. More than a little. 6. I am quite tired. I think I'll go to bed. More than a little. 7. I quite agree with you. Completely. 104.5. Complete these sentences using quite plus the following. Different, impossible, right, safe, sure, true, unnecessary. 1. I did not believe her at first, but in fact what she said was quite true. 2. You will not fall. The ladder is quite safe. 3. I am afraid I can't do what you ask. It is quite impossible. 4. I could not agree with you more. You are quite right. 5. You cannot compare the two things. They are quite different. 6. You need not have done that. It was quite unnecessary. 7. I think I saw them go out, but I am not quite sure.